Let's talk about, I mean, how many different big culture war trans issues could there be in one section? Well, let's try and get to as many of them as possible with Maya Forstater, Executive Director of Sex Matters. Good morning to you, Maya.
Morning, Julia.
Where do we start? I mean, I want to start with actually something that I hadn't planned to talk to you about, but the topic we just had about the womb transplant. Immediately it's raised, a sister giving her womb to her younger sister. Beautiful, lovely story. And then immediately it goes down to the trans community. This raises the possibility in a decade or so's time of men getting wombs so that they can give birth to babies because they are living as if they were women. What do you make of that?
Well, I thought it was shocking that the doctor you were speaking to said, well, the Equality Act has the protected characteristic of gender reassignment, so therefore men have a right to womb transfers. And that was never what that law was about. Yeah. When they passed that law, they said it was about making sure that people could take a train or get served in the shop or not lose their job.
Yep.
Because they're trans, because they shouldn't be excluded from public life, but not that they have the right to have the body of a woman or to have a womb or to try to have a baby with huge health risks for that child and for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a right. I mean, by the way, it's not even a right for women. I mean, you know, I didn't get any NHS funding because I was too old for my IVF. So if women don't have a right to have a baby, I'm damn sure, carry their own baby, I'm damn sure men don't.
Absolutely. That's just not what the Equality Act is for. Very,
very fair point. Now, you've also been invited to talk about a new paper actually published by the Institute of Economic Affairs, and it's a paper about, well, the threat to free speech from trans activists trying to outlaw, effectively, gender-critical views. Now, these sort of phrases mean absolutely nothing to ordinary people who've got lives and families and things to do. Gender-critical means people like you and me who know that biologically men and women are different and they cannot exchange sex. It's that,
and everyone knows that.
And everyone knows that. Even Keir Starmer, if you asked him, honestly. But there's this idea that trans activists are trying to shut down any dissent by calling you, me, and everyone else a transphobe or a bigot. There is a real issue about freedom of speech, isn't there?
Absolutely. I think this is a very good report. It makes the point that freedom of speech is not just about me or you or J.K. Rowling, people with media profiles. It's about people's freedom of speech at work and what happens when they're shut down.
They lose their job. That's what happened to you.
But also when they're shut down in doing their jobs, when they're not able to raise safeguarding concerns, when they're not able to say, is this a good idea? So they keep their jobs, they keep silent, and it corrupts the organisations. It corrupts all of the organisations.
Yeah, I mean, and it does corrupt all organisations. That is the big worry, isn't it? Because people are scared to speak out. People are scared to... I mean, again, just, saying biological male instead of man or biological female instead of woman because people are scared. And I'm frankly, my husband and I, we just agreed there are things I'm willing to be sacked for. I'm just not prepared to play along with the madness anymore and the lies because we're doing a disservice to women and to children. You've been one of the people speaking out on this in terms of what happens at work. But you know what? We're not physically damaged by it, but you and I also share a lot of concerns about what's been happening to children, particularly at the Tavistock Clinic, which everyone says has been closed down. No, it hasn't. It's still hard at work. It's supposed to be closing, but their work is going to go to other units around the country because of the ideology that it's succumbed to in North London. But big questions about the clinic again after it emerged that a young person aged 22 years old with 14 separate mental health conditions who is unable to read and write has been approved of for gender surgery. The Conservative peer Lord Goldsmith has branded the medics as utterly barbaric at the Tavistock Foundation Trust and said they should be locked up for carrying out procedures which he likened to lobotomies. What do you make about this?
It's a shocking case. This child was in care, I think, from age 13 and had experienced domestic violence and homelessness and abuse and had all of these mental health conditions, and they were still signed off for sex change surgery, and obviously it's not the Tavistock that does the surgery. They just do the assessment, and then the child gets passed on to a surgeon who has no idea about any of this background, and they're the ones that do the cutting.
Yeah, I mean, this is a boy. This is a no. Apologies, no. This is a girl who wants to transition. They're saying transitioning from female to male. You can't transition female to male, by the way. Your sex is there forever. You can transition to give you the appearance that you are a man. But I mean, presumably we're talking about a mastectomy, possibly even operations on her body, her lower body as well. But the idea that any teenager who's clearly troubled, who's been abused, who's lived in care, clearly troubled, who can't read and write, how on earth can that child be judged to be someone able to make a judgment about their future, even at 22 as an adult?
Absolutely. And it came out through a court case where this young person had challenged the council, saying that because she had been misgendered in college, because people had called her a girl, her education was failing. And so not only are they operating on a child's or a young person's body, they're also telling them that they can't fit into society unless everyone goes along with the lie that they're the opposite sex. So they're setting them up, a young person who already has huge difficulties, setting them up to be excluded from education and from society.
I mean, it is just terrifying. I don't believe for a moment this youngster is acting on their own and they haven't got people who are urging them on and pushing this ideology, and it is. And we've seen this case with this nursery school where the parents have pulled their child out after she was given a book, Grandad's Pride. Again, I don't know why children at the age of 3 or 4 are being taught about gay pride. I think it's just utterly bizarre. Why are they talking about sexuality at all? But a book featuring cartoon images of men in bondage gear. I mean, my main thing is if people are more aware of what is going on in institutions, whether it's nursery schools or in the NHS, then they will speak out about it, and then they will say they don't want it to happen. But people just simply don't know it's happening, do they?
Exactly. It's everywhere. And then I think you do come across the kind of thing that doctor said. They'll say, well, it's the Equality Act. Yeah. But the Equality Act really does not demand that your child in nursery school gets a book with bondage in it.
It absolutely doesn't. Maya, always so good to talk to you. Maya Forstater, Exec Director at Sex Matters. Thank you. Quick